Hello, hope your day is going well. Today, just to kind of pick up from where we left off, we're going to cover four different functions: the average function, average A or average all, and then also just move on to the average if and average ifs, which then should, once we're done with this video today, just kind of conclude our review of the aggregate functions, the items that you would see when you highlight like this column here. You see like an average, count, and sum. This is what I just like to call, like, as a group, the aggregates. So without further ado, let's get started. So the question here is, what is the average test score of the students who showed up? So just to provide some background context, this is just a one array, one column of test scores of about 10,000 students. Some of who showed up for like a test, and these are just random numbers between 1 and 100. Some of who just didn't show up. So kind of similar to the count function, if you are trying to calculate the average of a range of numbers, you will only pick up the the average function will only count the numbers, or include the numbers in the average of those that are actually numbers. So, for example, if I highlight 93 and no show, and then press enter, I'll only get 93 because this no show is not being included in this average calculation. So, kind of similar to the count. If I was to do like a count function on these two cells here, I would only get 1. Whereas count A would provide 2, and that's kind of where the average all function comes in. But first, let's just calculate the average of the test score of the students who showed up. So this is pretty easy. We can just do average A colon A to calculate the average of this entire column, picking up only the numbers that show up and not the text. And so that kind of makes sense, since I just put in a random string and a set of numbers from 1 to 100. I'm just going to clean that up to make it look nicer. So on average, like if you were to randomly generate numbers between 1 and 100, you would get somewhere around 50. But that's just more of like a statistics concept. But anyways, the average test score of the students who showed up were about was around somewhere just north of 50. What is the average test score of all the students? So this would include those who did not show up. So this is where we would use the average all function, and this is an interesting function too, because it won't pick up blanks. So it'll pick up the text and count them as zeros, but it won't pick up blanks or truly blank values. So first thing I'll do is I'll just select this cell first here and click Command Shift down if you have a Mac, just to get down to the very bottom of this cell range. And then I'll close parentheses and then press enter. We should get a very, okay. I was about to say we should get a very similar average to what we have above, but I forget that the average all function counts the no-shows, counts the text as zeros. So a little bit of food for thought just of the differences between these two types of functions. While they're similar, one just counts texts as zeros, or even not. Like if we had like other kind of like non-text objects, non-text cells, those would also be counted as zeros. The only one difference that you would have, though, is if you had, say, a Boolean value like false or true. Averaging over this actually gives us a different, averaging all, gives us a different end result. We get something, we get a 0.5, because falses are treated as zeros and trues are treated as ones when you try to use the average all function on them. If you wanted to do this just over some blank cells, though, say for instance I take this 80 here and then highlight the two cells next to it, and then press enter, I'll only get 80 because the average all function does not count the truly just blank cells. So I think that's a pretty thorough review of the average and average all functions. Just a little bit of review on what we had just in the last video in the count videos, the count if and count ifs video. If we type in count if, and we're just kind of just curious how many no shows there were, and I highlight this column, and I type in no show. So there are about 104 no-shows. So out of the 10,000 students that took the test, 104 students actually didn't show up, so they were just automatically given a 0. Always good to kind of just review as you go through your different functions and formulas. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. So I added an additional just chief executive column here. I think I might try to mix it up in the next video because I feel like this tab is getting a little bit stale, the data here. So we're asked 4 questions here on the right. So what is the average salary of our finance teams? So this is pretty straightforward, kind of similar to just like the count ifs and the sum ifs. Sorry, not the count if and sum if, not the ifs just yet. If you type in average if, so we want to find the average salary. The range is going to first apply to our criteria, which is the teams column here, comma. We're looking for the finance teams, so capital FINANCE. And the average range is going to be of the salary, or well, in this case, just the budget. So I could highlight it like that. I don't believe this will give me any issues. Yeah. I was just hesitant for a sec because the range and the average range, I forgot if like those had to be the same size, but I'm thinking more so just about VLOOKUPs. What is the average salary of our Iowa office? So that one is pretty straightforward too. We could just do average if again. Highlight our state, type in IA for Iowa, and the average range of our salary for our Iowa office could just be the budget or salary. This really should have been like budgeted salary proposals. If I press enter, it looks like that, but if we just clean it up, just get it rounded to the nearest cent, it looks like this. And actually, let's make this comma style as well. We can also just double check this as we're going. So if we were just to find the finance teams and then just highlight it over their budget proposals, this is 225,000, but what I have here, I have 112,500. What went wrong? So we have the finance team here, the finance team here as well, and then the finance team here. So we have oh, you know what? I think, well, let me try changing this range here, 8 to 22. Okay, so I think something kind of went a little bit wonky. Make sure to have your ranges set to the same size as your average range, and by that I mean it should be the same length and width of your cell ranges that you're copying and pasting over. And just to be safe, I think this should be good since the ranges are equivalent. But let me just stress test that. If I change this to Iowa, budget proposal over here. Okay, the average is 253,5721, 253,571. If I go back, that is also what we had here. So it's important just to make sure your ranges are the same. Otherwise, you'll run into issues like what I had above. What is the average salary of our remote teams in Florida? So this is where we have 2 criterias, or a set of 2 criterias. The average range. So this comes first, what you're actually trying to find, which is the average salary. So I'm going to highlight this column here, and then criteria range 1. We want to find our remote teams. So I'm going to put in remote. And then for our teams in Florida, which would be the state column, and we're going to put in FL. If I press enter, so we have 487,500. And so that's just looking at our Florida teams here. We have 2 teams that are remote, which are the sales and the finance team. The sales and finance teams. If I select both of those, the average comes up to 487,500, which is what we have here. What is the average headcount of our teams reporting up to the CFO? So, just a very similar exercise, AVERAGEIFS. The headcount, though, is what we're looking for this time. Of our teams reporting up to the CFO. I just realized, though, this only has one criteria, which is just, the teams reporting up to the CFO. But just sort of a fun fact with this, whenever you have criteria ranges or like arguments in a in a function that are in brackets, those are optional. So in this case, all we need is just this chief executive column, and then we just need to type in CFO. And then this just basically converts into AVERAGEIF. So let's actually just change this up to CFO. And then if we just count the head count, we get this this average 3, but this is just being rounded. If I press enter and then just add a few decimal places to it. So this is not being pasted correctly, because when you copy and paste from here, like your little kind of immediate things that you could copy your clipboard, it doesn't round out. But see, now if I add some decimal places to this, we have an average of 3.33, and it's just recurring forever. But yeah, that's just a little display of the 4 different types of average functions. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Like, favorite, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.